Okay, we're back. Take a look at the bass now. See what's going on with this bass over here. Let's see, we got amp and we have DI. Let's see what that means. Nice low end. Ooh, yeah. So in these situations, I typically basically treat the amp as kind of your more low end, and then the bass DI as being a little bit more responsible for some of the higher frequency content stuff. We can totally, just as an example, kind of throw out, well, not throw out, it's just there's not that much up there of the higher frequency stuff. Let's, well, I should probably just keep that soloed, but just take a listen here. I mean, you can even see it on the spectral analyzer here, but yeah, let's go ahead and see, and let's go all the way down to 4000K and see if it's really changed anything. Not so much. Cool. So that's like an easy kind of first step, first approach. Another thing that I like to do, particularly with the one that is going to be handling more of our low end, I'm going to go ahead and just tack another filter on here. You don't have to go crazy. I'm not trying to get rid of that much, but you can bring it up to, 40-ish. So I play a 5-string bass, and so typically the low E, I think, the fundamental frequency of low E on the bass, which is the lowest string on the 4-string bass, is around 41 hertz, I think, something like that. So maybe you don't start cutting a bunch of stuff above there. Obviously, I play a 5-string bass, so it's going to be a little bit lower than that because I have a low B. I could do the math to figure out exactly what that is, but you're not really taking out all of this low frequency stuff over here. You're really at that curve, you're kind of just attenuating it, and that's just because that's a lot of that is not super it's not super coherent when it comes out of a speaker and stuff, but always listen back, and maybe it was missing a bunch of stuff or something. But the larger point I was going to get to, yeah, nice. And you can actually see there's not that much. Maybe there was also a low cut already applied at pretty much exactly that curve. But, let's go ahead. Oh, yeah. I know I brought this up earlier. Let's throw another instance of this on the kick, just so that we can do our little tricky tricks over here. I'm not really going to do anything with it, I don't think. Maybe I will. We'll see. Please. Thank you. Alright, grab our analyzer. And look, you can kind of see where the difference is and where these things are hitting, which is good because you kind of want to make a little bit of space because the kick and the bass will sort of compete, and it can make your mix sound a little muddy when they are. Another thing to keep in mind too is that I feel like it actually took me a while to get this. When you're down in the lower frequencies, the differences in frequencies are bigger. Let me rephrase that. a smaller change in terms of like the arithmetic between frequencies is larger than when you are up at the top because of the way that the math works. So when you're dealing with something like, you know, let's just say 40 hertz, right around where we started to filter it. When you go to 80 hertz, you are already in the next octave of what that fundamental note is, and then 80 to 160 and so on. Which means that like in the in-between stuff here, it's a little bit more subtle what the differences are, but like you're kind of talking about pretty big frequency differences and like audible differences when you're in this low range, which is kind of partially why it can be a little bit difficult to dial in. But I only bring that up because, you know, this is kind of the area or an area where having an idea of what you want your bandwidth to be can be a lot more valuable if you're really trying to like cut out, you know, just a very specific frequency, or if you're really trying to bring the whole thing up, because a small difference in this realm can kind of like bring the entirety of what we call the sub up or something like that. And it's good to be aware, I think. So like as an example, if we went fucking crazy, versus just yeah, there's not that much of a move. But I guess to illustrate it, like this curve is starting essentially a boost. Oh, I can't read the silly little graph because the thing's in the way. It's starting a boost at like 30. And, you know, the curve is still kind of continuing a little bit before 300, which is, if I do the math right, is that roughly 10, 36, 30, 60, 20, 240. Doesn't matter. It's a lot. It's a big difference. That's all of that entire section going up. Maybe this was a little bit more esoteric than it needed to be, but the larger point being, you know, bigger moves make bigger differences in the lower numbered frequencies, just because you're actually covering larger octave gaps, octave intervals, whatever the words. What that means, though, is you can get pretty cute in here. We can just kind of take a little bit of that away. It doesn't affect it too much. Oops. Hey, get out of there. Yeah. And in the context of everything, what would happen. Do you think it would be any better if we also did the reverse over here? I don't know. Boost it. Yeah, kind of in the way there, but what if we just kind of... Maybe not. I don't need to go that fast. keep working on these two things working together. I'm kind of okay with the way those two things are sitting together for now. Let's go ahead. This is our amp, right? Okay. Let's go ahead and take some of that out of there. Yeah, we get some of the room out of there. Oh, and actually that still has really, this is going to be our low end of the bass, and the bass came out really, really clear. The tone of this bass is very, very coherent already, which is nice, because it means you can chuck this on top. And maybe I won't do a filter. Let's try it with a filter. Those are pretty coherent together. I kind of actually like it a little beefy like that. You know what I may do instead? Because I would like it to be a little bit more tamed. Let's hear it in context. It is kind of causing the won't kind of it. I like it better with the low frequency stuff in there. So maybe what I'll do instead is just sort of tame it a little bit. Really broad. That's already a little bit more on the way to a healthy sound, as it were. So that's 500 right there. This is a very notoriously boxy little place for especially the bass, other instruments too, but you can hear boost it up. I don't think that sounds, it's like not too crazy boxy, but I do appreciate the extra clarity that affords the sound. Makes a little bit more space for the kick, I feel like, also. Here's another one we can look into. Right around 1,000. Maybe we will get to that. I don't know. That's like a pretty important frequency in like metal bass and stuff, but that is so clangy. If you've ever listened to metal, the bass kind of has like all this high frequency content in it to help it. It sounds like a big slinky in a trash can. It's cool, but not every song needs that. Even though I'm always a little bit tempted just to see, ooh, would a little bit of extra stuff up there sound good? The other thing I've noticed just playing this loop, especially when the bass comes up in volume and is a little bit more present in the mix, you can kind of lot of volume, or at least perceived volume differences between the notes. And to solve this, we're going to take this bass amp signal, and we can go ahead and just smash it. How do I want to do that? Well, actually, you know what's a fun thing we can do? We can take a look at the transients and see, is anything that crazy? I have a feeling not really. Let's put it to large. Yeah, pretty consistent. Not really a ton of giant peaks or anything like that. So what I might do is I might take, oh, I don't know. What about you? You're pretty chill. Okay, well, things sound different because it just got way louder because of the default setting for this. You can look, because I don't have pre-fader meter on. That doesn't help us. There you go, see it? Yeah! Let's not do that. Let's try and keep ourselves on Earth. Okay, now let's dial in some. Hey, get out of there. Little shit ass. Sorry, cat. One cat eating the other cat's dinner. Come on, get the fuck out of here. A little bit of gain reduction. Actually, we can go in a lot of bit of gain reduction. This compressor, I don't know if it's just this plugin because this is the one I used most, but the the range of difference to when the compressor kicks on to when it doesn't kick on is so small. You know what? It's still a little bit inconsistent, which makes me think that maybe I actually do want another compressor in front of this, just so that they're not working so hard and so that I can get kind of like a nice, even, consistent tone. Because in the low end, it is really nice to have something consistent, volume-wise, dynamically. So maybe what I'll do is I could do the classic. Oh, the classic. The 1176 into the whatever it's called, the 2A, the LA2A. But we'll do that later. We'll do that for other songs. Everyone will do that at some point in their lives. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because it sounds really good, but let's take a look and be a little intentional and maybe hit the stop button on it. There's that little fucking shit again, the little auto gain. I know it's helpful for some people. I really don't like it, because I'm as much as possible trying to hear what's happening compression wise at the same level, so that I know what I'm doing instead of just making it louder or quieter. Another metering thing. I was trying to see what's going on. I have it set to 72 decibels. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm not trying to do any amount of gain reduction. That insane. Guy's out of his head. Look at that. Now we can actually see what the fuck is happening. See, that's not a crazy amount for the bass, but it was probably more than I was aiming for. Just muted the DI there. not the biggest deal in the world because you're often not doing a lot of stuff where you have incredibly low end content and trying to compress it as fast as possible. But you should be aware that if the attack of the compressor is set at a shorter time span than the actual wavelength of the lowest frequency or of something important in the sound, it will create distortion. For reasons that I can explain maybe at another point. Mostly because I just don't think it's that super interesting. But it can cause problems on the low end and stuff if you kind of keep doing that over and over again. You're like, what's all this weird nonsense in the low end? That's probably why. If you're trying to compress stuff with extremely fast attacks. I guess between, that makes me happy, I guess. Okay. Now that we're at a little bit more of a consistent, this thing, one day, I'm gonna rip its guts out and put stuff better in it. I'm talking about the computer. I like that. I think that's cool. I think, yeah. You, I'm going to treat a little bit differently. I think it would be nice to, I mean, similar stuff. You know what? Fuck it. No, not this again. Okay. Let's go ahead and do that. Play with some what we already established here. That's getting fat. It's getting big. Actually, maybe I do want some more of this. I wish there was a little bit more up there. How do I want to go about potentially adding some zhuzh? Does it need zhuzh? Will I be better served by... You know what? Let's proceed according to the plan here a little bit. Let's go ahead. What the hell is this doing here? Oh, I remember. Bah. Wait. I'll leave it on there. I'll put it further down. Who knows? I might want to do some more EQing. What the hell was I doing? Oh yeah, let's continue with our little preamp simulation nonsense. That's kind of nice. I don't know that I love that for this one, but to be determined. I like that a lot. Now, what the hell? I think I would still like there to be a little bit more stuff in that DI channel. But how am I gonna achieve that? I don't want to like blast it or anything like that. What? I feel like this this guy. This is not the guy I was thinking of. That's okay. It's one of these magma bits of nonsense. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. It's adding some saturation, but I don't want to go. We can turn that off. I don't need that. Too crazy with it, and I might end up using this dry wet a little bit. Just cause I don't know. I just want a little bit. It's not like I'm not trying to get a distorted signal, and we could probably chill out on doing it at the low end. Wait a minute. Well, we gotta take the gain down a little bit. Not gain. Take the fader down a little bit. Keep it more honest. This thing could go kind of crazy though. Check this out. What if I didn't relief? Wah! Whatever. Actually, maybe that was too much bass relief, so let me put it back where I had it. I feel like in some of these notes it gets a little bit muddy. Not as clear as I'd like. What I think I'll do is actually, you know what I'll do? I'll do it on a plugin that I know that people have access to. F6. Yeah, I think this little band right here. I think what I would like to happen is I want it to use you know, I picked F6 because it's a dynamic EQ. I just kind of want that to not go away. I don't want it to be a permanent reduction in gain. But during some of those more resonant notes, I have a feeling that it might play a little bit nicer if it gets compressed a little bit when those reach a certain threshold. It's bass, so we can start with 4 decibels. Might be kind of aggressive. That's what's bothering me. Okay, well, there's still that same section. Let's kind of focus in on there a little bit. Oh, that's not what I'm trying to do, buddy. Not bad. Let's kind of see how this builds up. I haven't listened from the beginning in a little bit here. Man, the bass is sounded fat. Oh. What happened to you, my friend? That doesn't sound like it's on purpose. Let's go ahead and check that out, see what's going on there. I don't think he does it here. Okay. Let's go ahead and start fucking around with that over here. All right, just putting it a little closer. That's not the thing I thought it was. Shame. You know what? That? Ah, fuck me. Did not register the control part, so I just hit E. That does not help me at all. Okay. Why should I be hitting B anyways? Let's go ahead and just... Incredible stuff. Incredible stuff. B. I hope that's roughly right. Not the cleanest. What? Oh. I'm being very, very silly. You and you need to be put in a group. See? Even people who are familiar with this shit. We do this stuff all the time. All the time. You and me, buddy, are going on an adventure. Now let's see. What I was hearing was the other take, where the flub. I was hearing the flub in the DI, but the edit in the damn. It's pretty close. Let's go ahead and. I feel like I want to like nudge that back a hair. See what happens. Yeah, I like that better. I like that significantly better. And then we can go ahead and button this up. Oh, just nonsense. I don't give a shit. Oh, I selected the wrong thing. Everything's gone to shit. Now I unselected that. Everything is terrible. Okay. Then, my friend. Okay. I don't know what's going on there. It, for some reason, did not like the hotkeys. Probably because I was pressing the wrong keys. Because I have my mic up in my face, and the way I have my setup is pretty nice at home, but it is kind of hard to see my my actual computer keyboard. So I'm hitting wrong keys all the fucking time sometimes. What are you gonna do? Can we get a little nicer? It's so quiet. That's a little nicer, right? Actually, I really don't want to get bogged down into doing a bunch of edit stuff like that. Which honestly I would be doing maybe if it were a different sort of project, and if I weren't on the deadline that I'm on. I don't know why I just put 8. Let's do 4-ish. Or whatever, who cares? Yeah, it makes me happier. Just right in the beginning, you want to get that consistency. Oh, stacks can come back together. Forgot I muted it. I still want a little bit more consistency out of this bass. Let's get that consistency. Oh, how do I want to get... Oh, this is EQs. What the fuck am I doing? How do I want to go about this? What if we handle it aggressively? We can also handle it slightly aggressively, I think, more on here. Yeah. that gain nonsense. That gain nonsense. It's so. Oh, I put this compressor on. It sounds so much better. Hey, I wonder if there's a bass one. What if you just try the bass one? Doing all this nonsense from scratch. Okay, I'd like you to do something though. Also, I realized I was changing the wrong thing for adjusting the gain 2 seconds ago. Definition and clarity in that bass. It's kind of loud. This seems like a good spot to take a break. I think well. I really like the bass when the arrangement's a little bit pared down. On that, when the guitars aren't playing. Okay, that tells me that the guitar and the bass are having a little bit of a clash. That's okay though. It sounds bad. I do think maybe there's some nonsense going on over here. On-off on frequency bands is a great thing. Use it all the time. That's why I was sounding worse. So spooky. Okay, I think that's marginally cleaner. I just want it to be nice and, you know, nice and clear. Yeah, you know what? This is a good spot. I will go make dinner for me and my girlfriend and then come back to this. Especially because I've been listening to this low-end stuff all day. All day. We gotta take a break a little bit. And then I think we'll come back and probably tackle the guitars, I think. The sax is going to be relatively straightforward. I think. But those are also famous last words. All right, I'll be back.